Hi, this is Don Crowther with a video about 2 vital elements of list building that you dare not ignore if you want to succeed in business. Here's what happens. When we think about building our list, we tend to focus on one key thing, and this is rampant throughout the business world. That is, we tend to focus on the opt-in form. We look at colors, we look at copy, we look at popovers, we look at typefaces, we look at headlines, we look at all kinds of things. And we test it trying to increase our level of opt-ins. Here's our challenge. In focusing on that, we ignore the 2 most important things about building a list and turning that list into profits for our business. The first one of those is best illustrated with an example. I want you to imagine for just a moment that you are a geek. And one day you have a birthday, and you look and you realize, hey, at this period of my life, I should be married. And so you do what every good geek does. You sit down and you create a to-do list of all the things you've got to do to get married. In fact, you may even turn it into a flowchart. As you're doing this, you think the first thing that you should do is go out and buy a wedding ring. And you go and you buy a beautiful wedding ring that should be able to get anyone to marry you. The next thing on your flowchart is find someone to marry. And so you think about that and you think, you know, every day on my way to work, I love to stop in the donut place and pick up a donut. And I've noticed that there are several very attractive, available looking women there. And so you decide that you're going to go to the donut thing tomorrow and find someone to marry. And so the next day you get up and you put on your best bow tie and your red suspenders and your glasses and you head over to the donut shop and you take out your ring and you put it in your pocket and you look around and you find a very attractive young woman that you'd like to marry. And so you go and you slide into the booth with her and you say, "May I sit here?" And she says, "Well, yes." And so then you pull out your ring and you present it to her and you say, "Will you marry me?" And immediately she goes, "What?" This is a great illustration of the number one thing that we tend to ignore, which is we don't do a good enough job of building a relationship with our customers. What we try to do, just like our geek, is that we try to sell far too soon, as opposed to developing a relationship before we try to sell. So most of us would try to actually create a relationship with that potential spouse before we pull the ring out of our pocket. Unfortunately, in most cases online, that's not what we do, especially when you think of things like AdWords advertising or other advertising, where what we do is we put up an advertisement and the first thing we do is we ask them to buy something. They don't know us, they don't trust us. No wonder our ads don't work. Now, you should be aware that there actually is a system that's specifically designed to build a relationship of trust, to get your emails opened, to train people to click on your offers. And that's very, very important. You need to actually train people that when you give them an offer, they should click on it and do whatever it tells you to. It gets them to buy your stuff and gets them to become lifetime consumers. Now, I could spend about an hour teaching you those principles right now, teaching you that system. But here's what I've decided to do. Rather than doing that, I've decided to give you that system. It's called How to Turn Every Lead into a Customer for Life. I've sold it many copies for $97, but you're going to get it for free. All you have to do is go to doncrowther.com/customer for life. That's doncrowther.com/customer for life. This is the system, outline it step by step, showing you exactly what you need to do to build those relationships, to turn people into customers, to turn them into referrers for you, and to build a lifetime relationship that causes them to come back over and over and over again to buy from you. So that's the first problem, is that we try to sell too early without developing a relationship first. Problem number 2 is that we tend to ignore the most important thing that gets people to opt into our list in the first place. So instead of working on the colors and the headlines and everything in your opt-in box, we need to not ignore the most important thing, which is our opt-in incentive. The thing that you give people as an incentive for signing up for your opt-in in the first place. So, how's that tired, old, boring ebook doing for you these days? Are you getting a lot of opt-ins to it? There's a couple of key points we need to understand here. The first one is that most of us haven't changed our opt-in incentive or added a new one in months or even years. And so many of the people who come to our site in the past have already seen this. They weren't interested then. They're not interested now. And you need to realize that opt-in incentives are the most important part of getting people to opt in. It's the thing that causes people to make a decision whether they want to opt in or not. Simply changing your incentive can oftentimes increase your opt-ins by 2 to 20 times. Let me say that again. You can double to 20 times your opt-in rate simply by getting a different opt-in incentive. In fact, this is so important that I believe at least 10 to 20% of your time, even if you're president of the company, should be spent on creating and marketing opt-in incentives. Now, in the ideal world, you should be introducing new opt-in incentives regularly. Yes, in a regular basis, putting out new opt-in incentives. Secondly, you should have multiple opt-in incentives running and being promoted at all times, because different things are going to attract different people into your opt-in stream. So why just have one? Why not have several? And ideally, you're tracking each incentive not only for the number of people who are opting in, but also for the profits that you make from the people who opt into that particular incentive. Would you like to know how to do all of this? I'm offering a special 90-minute webinar where I will be teaching exactly how to optimize your opt-in incentives to attract your target audience, to build your opt-ins, and to sell more stuff. In this, you're going to learn the little-known facts that most people are clueless about regarding the strategic importance of opt-in incentives in your total business. You're going to learn the 5 types of opt-in incentives that attract the highest opt-in rates today, exploding your list size. And you're going to learn how to choose an opt-in incentive that actually attracts your target market like mad while repelling those who aren't in your target audience, which is really, really key to your long-term success. You could just put up an iPad and do a drawing for a free iPad once a week, and I guarantee you will get tons of people opting in. But most of the people who opt in won't be in your target audience. So what you need to do is come up with an opt-in incentive that your audience wants that nobody else wants, so that you only get people who are interested in what it is you have to sell into your list. You'll also learn the secrets to using your opt-in incentive to actually sell more products. So if you do it right in your opt-in incentives, it becomes a piece of selling your products later on. Very, very powerful. If you structure it correctly, more people buy later on. And you do all that without sounding like a sales pitch. And you learn how to daisy chain your incentives to get people to opt into other products too, which builds your relationships with them and increasing the probability that they'll do business with you in the future. This webinar is going to be held on Thursday night, April 4th at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. That's 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time, 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific Time. And we will have, I realize that you may not be able to actually make it to that particular webinar, and so we will have recording available, but it's only going to be available for people who buy this particular webinar. How much would actually you ought to be considering? How much would it be worth for you to get 10 times the number of highly qualified opt-ins every single day? How much is that worth to you? I bet you it's worth a lot. I bet you it's worth tens of thousands of dollars to you over the long term. Well, guess what? This webinar is only going to cost $47. Here's how you get it. You go to DonCrowther.com/opt-in incentives. That's opt-in incentives to sign up to be part of that webinar on Thursday night, April 4th at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Time. So in summary, I recommend that you go to doncrowther.com/customer4life to get my free report, How to Turn Every Lead into a Customer for Life. Powerful report that shows you how to take them from the very first time they contact you all the way through the process of becoming a customer for life. And I also recommend that you go to doncrowther.com/opt-in incentives to sign up for our webinar on how to create opt-in incentives that people love. And then come be part of that webinar, or if you sign up and you're not able to make it, we will send you a copy of the recording for that webinar so that you'll be able to watch that at your leisure in the future. This is Don Crowther. Just go do this stuff.